Sunday marks a national day of prayer for the late former South African President Nelson Mandela, who passed away on Thursday evening at the age of 95. A memorial service will also be held on Tuesday at the Johannesburg Stadium, where Mandela made his last public appearance. Mandela's body will lie in state from Wednesday until Friday at Union Buildings in Pretoria. The state funeral and burial for the leader will be held in his rural hometown of Kunu next Sunday.
On Sunday the 15th, a funeral service and interment will take place at the President Mandela's home and final resting place at Kunu in the Eastern Cape. The public is advised that all the venues, Mandela houses, the FNB Stadium, the Union Buildings and all other venues will be cordoned off and access will be controlled. Government would like to announce that most of the key events will be broadcast live on television throughout this period, and mourners around the country and the world will therefore be able to follow these events on a day-to-day basis.
Meanwhile, thousands of mourners continue to flock to sites around the country to pay homage to the former president, who fought hard not only for racial equality but also reconciliation and forgiveness. The gatherings have been marked by dancing and singing, with many seeing it as a chance to celebrate Mandela's achievements. Mandela's death came after a prolonged battle against a lung infection. As the head of the African National Congress, Mandela became South Africa's first democratically elected president after being imprisoned for 27 years. The family of Nelson Mandela has released a first statement since he passed away on Thursday. They say although Mandela is gone, as a family, they will carry on his spirit and values.
The pillar of the family is gone. Just as he was away during that 27 painful years of imprisonment. But in our hearts and souls, he will always be with us. His spirit and yours. As a family, we learned from him to appreciate the values that made him the leader that was recognized by all. Chief among these is the lesson that a life lived for others is a life well lived.
Let's cross live to our correspondents Renee Calm in Soweto and Angelo Coppola in Johannesburg. Thank you very much for joining us, colleagues. So first, let's talk to our correspondent Renee Calm in Soweto. Renee, we know that Soweto is where Mandela lived before and after his imprisonment. So how are people there remembering him on this particular day? Well, Renee, Soweto is where Mandela lived before and after. So tell us, how are people there remembering him on this particular day? Well, it looks like we have to talk to our correspondent Renee Calm later in our program. But now let's turn to our correspondent Angelo Coppola in Johannesburg. Angelo, how are people in Johannesburg remembering Nelson Mandela on this particular day?
When we walked around yesterday at the Houghton home of President Mandela yesterday, we spoke to 3 or 4 families, and they all felt the same thing. There was that sadness, but they were also celebrating his life and his philosophies and his approach to life and how people should be uniting and working together to make South Africa a better place. We were speaking to young kids of around 5 and 6 years old, and they all felt exactly the same way. Very sad, felt like crying on the inside. So there's a sadness, but there's also a celebration about his life, because he did live until he was 95 years old.
Well, Angela, how's the international community responding to this occasion?
Well, we do know who's going to be coming, and famously we also know one Prime Minister who's not going to be coming. We do know that, for example, President Obama is coming through, and he'll be at the official memorial service at the FNB Stadium just outside of Soweto on Tuesday with his wife. We know that the Clintons are coming, and we also know that the Bush family is coming. Whether they're going to be on the same plane or not, we're not sure, but they will be coming through. But perhaps more interestingly, and on a lighter note, the Czech Prime Minister, Rusnok, was caught on television saying that he's dreading coming to Johannesburg. And he did apologize afterwards, But he said he's got dinner engagements, so he won't be coming through, it appears. He's going to be sending somebody else through. So that's what we have in terms of the international confirmation of international presidents and prime ministers.
Well, Angelo, any idea on the turnout of South African people?
Well, based on what we were seeing around the Houghton home yesterday and around the Centre for Memory, which is just down the road from where Mandela lived and passed away, I expect or anticipate that the FNB Stadium, which holds 94,000 people, is going to be jam-packed. I expect also that they'll probably have to erect giant screens outside to accommodate the interest and the levels of interest. You're going to see people streaming into that centre. We do know in Pretoria next week for the burial in state, or the in state when the Prime Minister will be in state, that people have to be accredited, and the government has asked that people of Pretoria and other parts who are coming to Pretoria to go to the Union buildings line the streets from one military base which is outside of Pretoria to the Union buildings. So we're expecting a huge turnout starting today.
Thank you very much indeed. Our correspondent Angelo Coppola in Johannesburg. Now let's turn to our correspondent Renee de Calm in Soweto. Hello again, Renee. We know that Soweto is where Mandela lived before and after his imprisonment. So how are people there remembering him on this particular day? Well, it looks like we have to move on to other stories first. Well, the past week has been a sad one for South Africans and many across the world. But while people grieve over Nelson Mandela's death, many are also paying homage to his legacy. Fakmeda Miller reports.
On any other Saturday, Nelson Mandela Square would be filled with shoppers, but today it's become a place of tribute for the late hero. People have been lining up all morning to sign a book of condolence, leave flowers or any other tribute they can, or simply just to be here to show their respect. People say it's a time of deep sadness and grieving, but also a time of overwhelming pride. Here we speak to Maria, who's come from Diepkloof, and she says this is a time to show appreciation for the leadership that Nelson Mandela showed. Maria, how do you feel today?
I'm feeling sad, overwhelmed, and really it's really a sad day. We just can't overcome this feeling. And paying our respects, I think that's the only thing we can do so far. We're happy that he's rested, finally, and we're going to miss him. He was a great man.
South Africans have known for months this moment was coming. Even so, it's a very difficult time.
We are truly saddened to hear of his passing, and when we woke up in the morning, we heard that he was gone. As an individual, I was hurt by it. Obviously, we prepared, but it's still a shock to us.
He played such an important role in our lives. He was so important for this country. I don't think we can pay enough tributes, but at least we can do our little part.
In the coming days, the nation will prepare to say a final goodbye. Fakmeda Miller, CCTV, Johannesburg, South Africa.